Welcome to BNEWS Weekly. I'm Phil Gallagher along with BNEWS Director Rich Hosford, BNEWS reporters Tad Stefanak, Chris Flaherty, and Robert Paris, and Marge McDonald with Senior News. Thank you for joining us. The Burlington Police Department is seeking information from the public on a shooting that took place early Saturday morning that the Burlington Police Department is investigating. Chief Michael Kent said that on Saturday, May 23rd at approximately 2 a.m., Burlington police were notified of a non-fatal shooting that had occurred sometime after midnight. The victim was treated at an area hospital and is expected to make a full recovery. According to police, through the initial investigation, officers learned that the shooting had occurred at Regan Park on Sumter Road. Officers and detectives responded to the park and processed the scene for evidence. Burlington police are actively investigating this incident and do not believe that the incident was random. The department has increased patrols in the area with uniformed and plainclothes officers out of an abundance of caution. Chief Kent said he would like to thank Burlington residents for their cooperation during the initial investigation. Anyone who may have information regarding the incident is asked to contact the Burlington Police at 781-272-1212. Burlington Town employees will be returning to work next week, though with things changed and new procedures in place intended to keep them healthy. Town Administrator Paul Sagarino said over the last month he was joined by a dedicated team made up by DPW Director John Sanchez, Health Director Susan Luminello, Human Resources Director Joanne Faust, Town Accountant and Assistant Town Administrator John Denizio to figure out the best way to safely allow people to return to work. He said the full staffing will be next Monday, and the steps have been taken to try and prevent any possible spread of the virus. Each employee was provided with wipes. All departments received sanitizer, and department heads have extra masks for employees. Additionally, every employee workspace has been socially distanced, and many have been moved around to ensure they are at least 6 feet apart. This includes locating people in the main hearing room on the second floor and at Grandview Farm. Mr. Sagarino said that all these steps are in conformance with CDC guidelines. Though town employees will be back at work, the buildings will remain closed to the public for the time being. In anticipation of opening up to the public sometime in the near future, they have installed glass shields at counters where the most interaction between residents and employees takes place. Burlington's full outdoor watering ban has been lifted by Town Administrator Sagarino, and the decision was ratified by the Board of Selectmen on Thursday. The lifting of the full ban was done at the recommendation of Department of Public Works Director John Sanchez. The reason this iteration of the full watering ban was first put into place was the fear that if someone in the Water Treatment Division contracted COVID, anyone who had come in contact with that person would have to be quarantined for 14 days. The concern was that if many of the employees of the division were out of work, the department might not be able to keep up with the extra demand that the irrigation systems put on the system. Sanchez said that now that things are slowly starting to open up, there's less concern than in mid-March when the pandemic was ramping up. Another big change, he said, is that test kits are more widely available. That means if someone was exposed, they could get a test, and if the results were positive, that one team member would be out of work, but if no one else tested positive, the rest of the crew could continue working. Though the full watering ban has been lifted, the year-round watering restrictions for irrigation systems, however, are still in place. This means there is no watering from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and that residents and businesses can only water every other day. Watering will be on even odd days based on the property's address, meaning that if you have an even number for an address, you can water on even days of the month and vice versa for odd addresses. Everyone can water on the 31st of the month. Finally, there are fines for breaking the water restrictions. On the first violation, a person will be issued a warning. On the second, a fine of $50 will be imposed, and a fine of $100 will be imposed for each subsequent violation. The coronavirus situation has impacted many facets of life, and voting is no exception. BNEWS Director Rich Hosford spoke to Burlington Town Clerk Amy Warfield about how the June 6th town election will be run and what procedures will be in place to keep everyone distanced and healthy. Here's this report.
The Burlington town election is coming up on June 6, and while the polls will be open at the high school, the setup will be a bit different. Town Clerk Amy Warfield said that since the April 4th election was postponed, she has been working with the Board of Health and the high school administration to come up with a plan to keep everyone safe during the time of COVID-19. This means efforts to keep people socially distanced at least 6 feet apart. To achieve this goal, they have moved precincts 5 and 7 to the wooden gym across the hall from the regular voting location. They also have a detailed system of moving voters through the process. Amy explains.
Well, this year, definitely the biggest differences will be around how people are moving through and what some of the basic requirements are going to be. Um, the flow on the maps there that you can see will show that they will be coming in, lining up outside. It will be social distancing. We will keep you 6 feet apart, and we're going to really recommend that you remember to bring your masks with you. Then once you get directed to what your proper precinct is, you'll be taken through, there'll be 7 stations in every precinct. You'll be reminded to not advance to the next station until it's available. And you'll go through the process of getting your, checking in, getting your ballot. You might have to wait a couple minutes to get to a voting booth. And then you're going to go directly to checkout and put your ballot in the machine. And then you will be directed to leave the building promptly. Unfortunately, we won't be able to be passing out annual reports and things like that there because we're not allowed to do that. We need to keep contact to a minimum.
Amy says they have considered many details of how best to keep people safe. All poll workers will be wearing masks and gloves all day, and even minute details, like the pens voters will use, have been examined.
The other thing that we're also doing is that pens will be, an individual pen will be given to you with the ballot. Those pens will be wiped down throughout the day. So we have antiseptic wipes that will be wiping down pens, but you are also very welcome to bring your own pen if you want to. Just remember that it needs to be black or blue, and it needs to be a heavy pen, like a flare type pen, so that you can completely fill in the oval.
Finally, though the election draws near, there is still time to vote by mail and skip the polls entirely.
By mail, we are still taking those. We will accept them until noon on June 5th, the day before. But remember that all ballots have to be mailed out. So as soon as you can get an application, the better off you'll be. Ballots have to be returned by 8 p.m. on the day of the election.
Remember, the town election is Saturday, June 6th, and the polls are open from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. On video conference with Town Clerk Amy Warfield, on BNEWS Director Rich Hosford.
Burlington's 2 representatives in the State House joined their colleagues to pass a bill aimed at offering further relief for those collecting unemployment insurance due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Representative Ken Gordon and Senator Cindy Friedman recently voted to pass a bill that will provide additional unemployment insurance benefits to low-income families and relief to nonprofit institutions and employers. The bill is part of the legislature's ongoing effort to support residents during the COVID-19 public health crisis and was signed into law by Governor Charlie Baker on Wednesday. The bill, an act providing additional support to those affected by the novel coronavirus throughout the unemployment insurance system, builds on unemployment legislation already signed into law that waived the 1-week waiting period for residents to start receiving unemployment benefits. It also follows the recent passage of the Federal Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economics Security Act, which significantly increased benefits and expanded eligibility during the coronavirus pandemic. You can find the details of the bill on our website at bcattv.org/bnews. With a marked drop in air pollution during the COVID epidemic and the world in re-entry towards life more ordinary, BNews looks at recycling behavior during the crisis and how we can more effectively help our environment. Reporter Tad Stefanak has this report.
Tony, loud and clear.
There's been a noticeable reduction in air pollution during the COVID epidemic, and there's also been a change in household recycling habits.
Recycling and trash has changed. So commercial business, which is businesses and universities, has definitely dropped off a lot. On the other hand, there's more residential waste than there was in the past. So the balance has tipped. We are now doing the same job that we were, but it's being more challenging because we are attempting to keep our people safe. And in fact, lately we we actually really need you to be recycling properly, particularly your paper. Probably all seen the shortage of toilet paper, shortage of paper goods, cardboard boxes. We're really interested in taking those clean, please, empty, clean, and dry. We'd like to have all of that material from you because we are going to make it into more paper and more boxes, which we really need right now. A lot of grocery stores have closed up their rooms that held the returnable bottle machines. And so we've been getting questions on that. Yes, the answer is we are happy to take your bottles and cans in the recycling bin, but we would much prefer them to be empty of whatever it was you were drinking.
For all the efforts to reduce and reuse, there are some items you cannot put in the recycle bin.
We do not want air pillows or bubble wrap. Please, just the boxes. It's okay to leave the tape and labels on them. If it's furniture or clothing, we want that to go to a local donation bin. There are, 30 million people who are going to be out of work that might appreciate your donation. Please put masks and gloves and used Kleenexes in the trash. That will help keep our workers clean, and none of those items are recyclable.
Republic Service is not only taking local recyclables, they're giving back to the communities they serve.
They have started a program called Committed to Serve. For instance, they are giving frontline people $100 gift cards to go and spend in their communities to help keep local businesses afloat. They're buying lunch for us on a regular basis, those of us who are in the office or in our trucks, and buying lunch from local restaurants again in order to help keep them afloat. If you're wondering what you should be recycling, and you've got more time to be thinking about it now than ever, please go check out the statewide recycling guidelines on recyclesmartma.org.
As people around the planet return to some semblance of normalcy, let's continue doing what we can to save the earth. I'm BNEWS reporter Tad Stefanow.
Houston, thrust is go.
The Burlington High School class of 2020 is quickly approaching the end of their high school career. Due to distancing restrictions because of the pandemic, the school administration is planning a graduation ceremony for seniors that will see pomp and circumstance look a bit different than normal. BNews reporter Chris Flaherty has this look.
As the end of the school year approaches, the BHS community is preparing to send off the class of 2020. Although the pomp and circumstance might look a bit different as a result of the COVID pandemic. Thursday, May 21st, seniors return to the school to drop off textbooks and iPads and pick up caps, gowns, and other graduation materials. This was just the first phase of BHS's alternative plans for graduation. Principal Mark Sullivan expressed his feelings that while many surrounding schools are opting to either hold virtual ceremonies or simply postpone, he felt the latter was not the right way to go.
I wasn't in favor of postponing because obviously I know some kids don't stick around immediately after they graduate. So to have some kind of graduation ceremony that left any of our kids out just wasn't acceptable to me.
On June 7th, school administration will hold a drive-up graduation ceremony, where seniors will arrive at Varsity Field with their families at pre-designated times and walk across the stage in their cap and gown and receive their diploma.
We're just trying to think outside the box and still recognize this class. Obviously, this is not what they signed up for. This is all their senior pomp and circumstances being taken away from them. Their prom, their athletic banquet, the scholarship night, the senior banquet, obviously graduation and the all-night party. All things that they can't do that I know they really look forward to, and I know their families really look forward to this special time in their lives. So we have a lot of staff here today. We're waving at them. We're telling them that we're thinking of them and that we love them, and just giving them kind of one final shout out with the staff. And you see the kids are rolling in, so it's I think staff and students are excited to see each other today. I think that if this closure has taught us anything, it's the human interactions, the personal connections that we all make with each other that we really sometimes miss the most.
Principal Sullivan explained the importance of still having a ceremony, as it honors the culmination of a significant chapter in a young person's life.
I think it's a lot of years in the making. No shortage of sacrifices that are made by parents, by kids. So To do nothing just wasn't an option, and this seemed to be the best way that we could bring people together in some way, but still ensure that everyone's going to be here in a safe manner, complying with local and state guidelines, and I think it's just really important for just that capstone event in their lives.
As we look to the future when the COVID pandemic will be only a memory, Sullivan hopes that residents will look back and remember the efforts made to commemorate this important moment for the class of 2020.
This will certainly be a memorable graduating class in terms of remembering how and in what way they graduated, because I think our graduations tend to be pretty similar year after year, but this certainly adds a flavor of specialty to it because of the unique situation that we're in. So they'll definitely never be forgotten. And I just hope that parents and students and families can recognize that we're doing our best to make sure that we honor the class of 2020. We give them the best kind of graduation that we can right now, and that hopefully they're appreciative that we're doing everything we can to make sure that kids know that this is an important date in their lives, and we're trying to recognize and honor that.
Congratulations to the class of 2020. Until next time, this is Chris Flaherty for BNEWS Weekly.
BCAT, of course, will be carrying all aspects of the graduation class of 2020. School has been canceled since March, and College Scouts have been working with high schools around the Commonwealth for a backup plan for athletes in their college aspirations. BNews reporter Robert Paris has this report on how the canceled season is impacting student athletes.
In late April, the governor canceled the remainder of the 2019-2020 academic school year. The news hurt a lot of students, especially the seniors. Some graduates from this season were scouted by a variety of colleges. However, with the abrupt end of school, many scouts found it difficult to see students in action.
It's kind of been a weird situation, obviously not having spring sport for the first time ever, really, so we have reached out to a bunch of different colleges. The NCAA has put out a bunch of missives, if you will, about how they're handling some different things. And ultimately what they're saying is that they're still continuing the process that every single normal college junior would go through. They're using their films that they have. And here at Burlington, we're very fortunate. We have a huddle system here at school, which films a lot of our different games. So our athletes here are able to take that video and cut different pieces of it to send to coaches so that they actually have a piece of what they've done. And again, everybody knows, and everybody being in the same boat with losing the spring, understand that there will be a missing piece for everyone equally.
All the athletes at the school were disappointed when hearing their sport had been canceled.
I think number one, it's affected everybody. It's tough to lose something that everybody looks forward to. I mean, there are kids that only play spring sports that wait, all year to play that sport and didn't have an opportunity to do it. I will say from the kids I talked to, and it's been quite a few, I think they missed the camaraderie, they missed the sportsmanship, they missed being on a team, they missed their buddies, they missed their coaches, they missed being around the school. And you forget how close-knit this Burlington community is, and you forget how much everybody interacts on a daily basis. So I think people would love to have that back, and they will have it back. They just need to do it in a manner in which it's safe and constructive for them to do that. But I think that they've handled it very well for what's been taken away from them.
Lastly, as everyone gets ready for a new normal, the BHS staff members are preparing for what comes their way to keeping the kids safe this fall.
I'm part of a couple of different groups that sit in the MIAA, so we're making a lot of decisions for how we're going to go forward. I think there are good plans in place. I think that people are open to opportunities that, if we can't do one thing, can we do something else to get kids playing again and to open up every door possible to make sure that we get kids out and active and participating again.
I'm Robert Paris for BNews Weekly.
The Boston Marathon was first postponed and now has been canceled, but dedicated runners are still hitting the pavement. Former BNews anchor and sideline sports reporter Dave Corbett had a chance to complete a virtual marathon at Lake Quannapowitt in Wakefield. BNEWS reporter Robert Paris spoke with him about the experience and has this look.
While the pandemic has limited us from what we do in everyday life, one man has been running virtually. Former BCAT sideline reporter and anchor Dave Corbett had an opportunity to participate in the first virtual marathon.
So it involved a lot of different things. At first, I thought when I was training for it that it was going to be for Boston. Obviously, when this whole marathon cycle started up for me in about November or December, the world hadn't changed yet. And a lot of time on the track as well, which fortunately for me, I was able to escape to Danvers High School and get in some track workouts, even when things became weird about being around people socially.
Happening or not, Dave is still good to go for the Boston Marathon.
The plan is to still run it. I have a feeling if it doesn't happen on the 14th, it's not going to happen until next April again, which if that's the case and they do, ultimately just cancel it for the year, I'll have to reconsider. But the plan is to still run. Definitely looking forward to it. I love Boston. My hometown marathon, it's so historic.
With a passion of running, Dave has taken one step further as he has been writing his thoughts on his new online running blog.
It's just kind of my chance to get my thoughts out. I feel like it gives people like an inside look at my mind and what goes on in my buildups, in my, buildups to different marathons, different races I run. And I enjoy sort of giving people that insight into my mind and what training weeks are like for me and what I'm feeling as I'm going through my different marathon training cycles.
One thing Dave misses is being around his friends that run with him.
Having people out there, it just spreads camaraderie. It makes the runs go by a lot faster. You connect with other runners who should share in the same sort of mindset that you share in. You can talk about your highs, you can talk about your lows. You're just always, in my opinion, around good people when you're in the running community.
Lastly, while Dave continues to host online running blogs, he will remember what an experience he had with the virtual marathon.
It just lets you continue to train and feel like you have a lot of meaning behind it. I think a lot of people are using these virtual races in hopes to springing themselves into good shape when real road racing resumes again.
I'm Robert Paris for BNEWS Weekly.
Thank you, everyone.
We go now to Robert once again for another update from the Parks and Recreation Department about how they are adjusting activities in the face of the pandemic. In this edition, Director Brendan Egan talks about plans for concerts on the Common and Celebrate Burlington.
The summer weather has already arrived here in New England, and while that season is right around the corner, we must not forget to keep our social distance during the COVID-19 pandemic. Once again, I had another conversation with Burlington Parks and Recreation Director Brendan Egan for the Parks and Recreation update and found out how his team will be keeping everyone safe during the summer.
So currently, again, our parks are open. We have gone and put signage up that we talked about last week, just with CDC recommendations on there. We've also opened the sport courts, the paddle courts, so tennis and pickleball, for singles matches only, no group gatherings. We are asking people to try to practice carry in, carry out. So if you bring, a plastic water bottle and you use it up, don't, bring it home with you. We've, kind of tried to consolidate our trash barrels.
As of right now, summer programs are available for families to register.
We have taken registration for summer programs. We've limited our numbers, so there's only up to 25 in each program, and that includes the staff.
One of the most popular events of the summer is the Concerts on the Common and Celebrate Burlington, which are being looked into by the staff.
Nothing ready to release on Celebrate Burlington. It's looking less likely to happen just because of the amount of people we get at Celebrate Burlington and keeping the physical or social distance. Concerts on the Common, you might see something soon on that. There might be something good in the works. We'll say that.
Lastly, COVID-19 has ruined many graduations, proms, and a number of other events. And eventually, we will see the light at the end of the tunnel.
And we've been pretty cautious, and I've said it a couple times, this short-term suffering, so to speak, is really for the long-term gain. Keeping to ourselves and our immediate families. It's not what we're all about here, but it's some short-term suffering, not seeing those people, for the long-term gain of getting back out as soon as possible.
I'm Robert Paris for BNEWS Weekly.
The Senior Center may be closed, but the staff is still working hard to provide services to Burlington seniors. We go now to Council on Aging Director Marge McDonald for the latest senior news.
Hello, I'm Marge McDonald, Director of the Council on Aging. The grandparent scam calls are ramping up. The phone rings, you answer it, and you hear, "Grandma?" You say the name of one of your grandkids, and they say, "Yeah." Then they tell you they are somewhere and need money for some reason, but please don't tell Mom and Dad. This will get your grandparent protectiveness going, and you will likely stop thinking rationally and think with your heart. The most important thing to do before you do anything is to stop and think. Did it really sound like them? Where were they supposed to be? Would they even be anywhere but home right now? Then call them if you can. If not, call their parents. Tell them about the call. Their safety and your finances are more important than getting in trouble with Mom and Dad. I would feel safe saying that 100% of the time, they are not going to get in trouble with Mom and Dad because they aren't in trouble in the first place. It's a scam, and they are either at their own home or home with Mom and Dad. No one is going to Mexico or Canada or any other country for quite a while. You can and should call the police and run it by them if they don't mind. That's what they're there for, to serve and protect all of us. You can also call them first. If you're uncomfortable calling the police, your family, or anyone else, call us at the COA if you can wait until we're there during business hours. Just don't do anything until you speak with someone, please. In I can't believe this is actually happening news, the IRS is contracting with Money Network cardholders out of Omaha, Nebraska, to send you gift cards instead of checks if you don't have direct deposit, if you qualified for a stimulus payment. If you receive one of these gift cards, the number you have to call is 800-240-8100 in order to activate it to use it. My colleagues and I have always preached against purchasing gift cards to pay someone or accepting gift cards from strangers, so it's very odd that this is how the IRS has chosen to pay some citizens. But there you go. If you receive one and you aren't sure, please contact the police or the COA and we can talk you through it. But if you call the number I gave you, that's 1-800-240-8100, if you receive one, they will let you know if it's not legitimate. Your economic impact card will come in a plain envelope from Money Network Cardholder Services, along with important information about the card, instructions for activation, fees, and a note from the U.S. Treasury. The card itself will have the words Visa and debit on the front and the issuing bank, MetaBank, N period, A period on the back. There is so much up in the air right now, and the reopening of the Senior Center for Social Services and activities is among them. So we have much of our programming up on Zoom and WebEx and will continue to provide programming virtually. And the social workers are always available via phone. We're going to have Roger Tinknell perform on Friday, July 3rd at 3 p.m. with his American Songbook. If you're interested, email us at coa@burlington.org, and when we get closer, we'll send you the information to join. We will also have John Clark return with his lectures on music. He will cover the 1950s with a 4-part series over the summer. Rose will help out with a coffee hour on Tuesday mornings, and Town Administrator Paul Sagarino and I will hold a coffee hour on Monday, June 15th at 9 a.m. Of course, you provide the coffee, and showers are optional. We do have meditation, fitness with Sophia, Tai Chi, painting, Mahjong, and bingo all online. Bingo will happen once a month and is a bit difficult but doable. There are lots of free ways online to get bingo cards, but if you can't get online and need one from us, we can print out one. I can only get up to 30 at a time, so I can't get you more than one, but a family member can help you out as well. To print out your own, go to https://myfreebingocards.com/numbers/1 through 75 and click on 30 cards for free in blue to print up to 20 cards. You can also email us at coa@burlington.org to email you the link or to sign up for any of the programs I've talked about. That's all for now. I hope to see you at our virtual senior center.
Another week, another photo to highlight. This week we have a photo of a development in the works seen from a unique angle. It was sent in by Joe Brown of joebrownphotos.com and features the shops at Simons Park captured by a drone. According to Joe, the view shows Cambridge Street northbound on the left and southbound on the right, with Simons Park on the right edge of the frame. Thanks for the photo, Joe. We'd like to see your photos. They could be of your stay-at-home activities, shots of your pets, the coming signs of spring, and spring is here, or just the weather seen from your own backyard. Whatever you think is interesting and want to share with us in the community. Email your photos to bcat@bcattv.org with the subject line Photo of the Week. That's it from the news desk here at BNEWS Weekly. I'm Phil Gallagher along with Rich Hosford, Tad Stefanak, Chris Flaherty, and Robert Parrish. Thank you for joining us.